How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another DIY video. In today's video, we're actually going to be working on my 2018 F30 340i, and we're going to be installing a boot mode tune on the car. So let's get to it. All right, so before we get started here, just a huge shout out to Kies Motorsports and the team over there for sending out the boot mode tune that we're going to be installing on the car. They've been a long time sponsor on the channel here, so huge thanks to them for sending this over and allowing me to make some content for you guys. So when it comes to tuning, we've got a couple different options, and I've done videos in the past before just like this where I've tuned whatever car I have at the time, and I've used boot mode multiple times on multiple vehicles, and so I'm pretty familiar with the platform, and Kies Motorsports does carry boot mode. And so if you're looking for a tune for your BMW, specifically if you're looking for one for your F series car, I will have a link in the video description below where you can purchase your own. But again, when it comes to tuning, we've got a couple different options. So there are basically piggyback tunes and flash tunes. I've ran both on multiple vehicles over the years, and I'm pretty familiar with both and how they kind of work and things like that. So it kind of just depends on how much money you want to spend, what kind of customization you would like to have in your tune, and things like that. So if you're trying to do maximum horsepower and do custom tunes and squeeze every little parameter out and be able to change things, that sort of thing, I would highly recommend doing a flash tune. But if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, something more plug and play, where you're like, okay, an extra 50, 60 horses is plenty for me, then that's where a piggyback tune is really going to be a good opportunity for you guys to tune the car and make some decent power without having to do anything else crazy. So with all this being said, these newer model BMWs 2020, I think it's June 2020 and up, are going to require a DME unlock because of EPA regulations here in the States, things like that. And so fortunately with this car being a 2018, we don't have to worry about any DME unlocking, sending the DME out to Finland to unlock and things like that. So we are fortunate in that regard. So basically when it comes to a flash tune, all we're going to need to do is purchase a license. Again, I'm going with boot mode. I've just used them before in the past plenty of times. There are other options out there like MHD, which I heard is also really good. But I'm just really familiar with boot mode, and so we're going to be installing that in today's video. All right, so real quick, again, the difference here between a flash tune and a piggyback. So the piggyback tune is going to be more plug and play. It's going to be, utilizing your OEM sensors. Basically, you're going to disconnect those, put in the piggyback, and then reconnect everything. It's a lot easier, simpler process, I would say, because the tune is already loaded onto, the module, and there isn't really anything you can do in terms of customization or anything like that. It's just basically a plug and play, ready to go. And all it's really doing is kind of changing a little bit of timing and changing boost level. With a flash tune, you've got a lot more customization. So if you want those burble tunes, you want to be able to access that stuff and modify and change what those burble settings are. If you want to, do specific tuning, boost by gear, things like that, and also really hone in on cam timing and things like that, and having multiple tunes readily available, then your best option is going to be an actual flash tune. And so I like flash tunes. I want to be able to switch between different maps, but on the X3 that we have here, also here on the channel, I just did a Dale or piggyback tune, but most of my cars that I have, these kind of trying to squeeze out more power, I typically go with the flash tune. So I'm going to show you guys how to install boot mode's flash tune on today's video, but basically what you're going to need to do is purchase the license from a boot mode dealer like Kies Motorsports. Again, the link will be in the video description below if you want to purchase one, and they will basically send you an activation code, and you've got one of two ways to do it. In order to download it onto the car, you can either download the mobile device and load it through your cell phone, or you can take an actual laptop, connect it through the OBD and things like that, and run it that way. I like to do it all on a mobile device. That way, if I'm at a gas station, maybe I've done some back roading, I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, they don't have 93 octane, maybe they got 91. I can easily pull up my boot mode app here on my mobile device here and change the tune to a 91 map instead of a 93. So again, that's another reason why to purchase a flash tune over a piggyback. I kind of have multiple maps and I can upload whichever I choose. And if I wanted to squeeze out a ton of power, I could even do custom tuning because they have a bunch of licensed boot mode custom tuners on the actual app that you can actually reach out to and have them customize a tune specifically for your car and make it even more personalized. As opposed to a piggyback where, again, completely plug and play. If I was out in the middle of nowhere, I'd have to just put 91 in and just run it that way. So a lot more customization on the flash tune, but anyway, let's get to the install. All right, so as I mentioned, we are going to be using my mobile device here with the boot mode app, and we're going to be uploading it to the car through the OBD port. So we've got a couple options here just to show you guys. This is a Kies Motorsports Wi-Fi adapter or Bluetooth adapter here. So that would plug directly into the OBD port. We would connect our mobile device to this, and we could connect and upload the tune wirelessly. They also do have a wired version here as well. So you could do it that way, wired if you want. I also have this one. This was just an Amazon purchase. So this is a hardwired version. If you wanted to use it into a laptop, you can plug it right into an Ethernet port. I also can do this, run this one with this little device here, which connects to my mobile device through a lightning cable. So what I can do here is connect these two, connect this directly to my phone, and I basically have a hardwired connection that way. So I like to do the hardwired version just because, you know, anything wired is always going to be better than a wireless connection, just in case something happens and, you know, I did get disconnected or something in the middle of a tune wirelessly, then it could, you know, could be a problem, but I like to do it wired, hardwired, and just make sure everything is connected and good to go. So I'm going to do it this route, and let's show you guys what we've got. And as you guys can see here, we've got our wire here connected to the OBD2 port underneath the car right here. So this just plugs in one direction. And then on this side, we will plug our lightning cable directly into the cell phone. All right, so we've got this plugged into my cell phone here. You want to make sure you've got your car keys inside of the car. And as soon as you turn on the boot mode app here, it will automatically connect and turn the car on, as you just saw there. So you'll see that it says OBD Ethernet cable connected here. It'll say start. Go ahead and hit start. And take a second here. And since we don't have an active license on here yet, we're going to go ahead and load that. So again, when you purchase boot mode, you'll get a license through email from, let's say it's Kies Motorsports, and that activation key will have to be entered in here on the actual app. So we are not currently registered yet. So what you need to do is actually create an account if you don't have one already through boot mode. So create an account, create a login, that sort of thing, and then we're going to go ahead and upload the actual activation key. So once you've got your account registered, you can go ahead and hit this register vehicle button here. That way we can put in our activation key. So hit register. Now it's going to ask for the license, and this is where you'll put it in. So once you put your activation key in, you'll see that registration is complete. Now you can go to OTS Maps here, and you can see basically the tune comes with one downloadable one, I believe. You can also download a map pack, which has all of the OTS maps. I think it's an extra $99, but I believe right off the bat, it gives you one tune to download from an OTS. So additionally, you'll see there that where you have the stock tune here. So what you need to do is actually download that first as well. In order to do that, you would just hit this little cloud button right there, and then it will start to download the tune. And so once that stock tune is downloaded, you'll see a little check mark there. So that one is downloaded. If you go over, so this is the My Map section. So anything that you do download or purchase will be in this area here. If you go to OTS Maps, you'll see that we've got maps for a bunch of different stuff. Stage 0 plus. You've got stage 1, stage 2, stage 2 plus, etc. So depending on what your octane levels are, you'll see here like a stage 2.0. The octane level is 102 plus, whereas a stock or a stage 2 plus is for 93. So depending on what your trying to do here. If you're trying to run higher fuel content, things like that, you can download different maps. And again, same thing, you'll just hit the little cloud over there to download. Basically, once you download the map, it will fall into your My Maps section, and then you can upload the map to your car. So yeah, basically you get one map, one OTS map to download. If you want to download the rest of them, you'll have to buy that bundle, which I have. And so I have already put in my activation key for the bundle. So now I'm able to download as many of these as I want. And what's cool about these is you can see here. So let's say we wanted to run a Stage 2 Plus tune. If you click into it first, it'll tell you what's required in order to run this particular map. So in order to run it safely, you'll need a high flow downpipe, upgraded fuel pump, and that's it really. And so that is all you need in order to run a Stage 2. The power levels all depend, and they change and vary depending on what modifications you have and what stage tune you want to run. So here on a Stage 1, you'll see here, that one doesn't have a description, Stage 1, let's see. If you do a Stage 1 here, you'll see that this is basically just, you can run it on different octane. This example would be 91 octane. There aren't any supporting mods necessary for this actual Stage 1 tune. So let's say we wanted to run a Stage 1 on, let's see, so we've got a M Performance Power Kit, 326 or 340 horses. Let's say we want to do that, and I've already downloaded that one actually. If you wanted to run the Stage 1.0, doesn't have a description here for some reason, but you can change the maps here and download that way. All right guys, so pause, timeout. I do have to say something here. While trying to drop the tune in from boot mode on the 340, I discovered that the DME is actually locked. So in the beginning part of my video, I did mention that if your car is a 2020 or above model, then your DME would definitely be locked. You'd have to ship the DME over to Femto over in Finland, have it completely unlocked and shipped back before you could tune. In addition to that, I did find out that some 2016 plus models, so basically 2016 to 2020, there's a good chance that your car could also be locked, but the difference here is that it can be bench unlocked. So I think the reason why they decided to lock all these ECUs is for emissions purposes, and so BMW is constantly putting out updates to the car and things like that. So if you're after a certain update, then you would require a bench unlock if your car is a pre-2020. So again, 2016 to 2020 could potentially be a bench unlock requirement in order to tune the car. 2020 plus would be a Femto DME unlock, which again, shipping overseas. So here in the States, there are quite a few companies that do bench unlocking. I'm going to be utilizing Kies Motorsports to do the bench unlock. So basically what I'm going to do is remove the DME here from the car, ship it over to Kies Motorsports. They're going to unlock it themselves, and it should be a pretty simple process for them to do. Their turnaround time is super fast, so as soon as they get it, depending on the time of day that they get it, they can actually ship it out same day. So turnaround time is very, very quick. That way you're not, your car is not down for a long period of time, whereas like a Femto, shipping overseas, like your car could be out of commission for 10, 14 days, whatever. But it should be a pretty simple process. I'm going to show you guys real quick how to take the DME out, but I do want to mention that when you're doing this, you want to be careful. You want to make sure that the car is in a spot that it can sit for a couple days, preferably in a garage, because we are going to leave the hood open, we're going to leave the trunk open, we have to disconnect the battery, and basically the car's not going to be able to move for that time. So again, pulling out the DME, we're going to ship it over to Kies Motorsports. They're going to bench unlock it, and exactly what does that mean? They are able to put it on an actual workbench, hence the name. Plug into their own, device, their tool that will be able to unlock the ECU, and then they'll send it back to me. So decently fast process, like I mentioned. But yeah, so let's go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery in the trunk. Make sure you leave the trunk open. Otherwise, if you close it, you're in a world of hurt. All right, so here in the trunk, this is the battery down here in this cavity here on the passenger side. So what you need to do is take a 10 mil,
socket and remove that bolt right there, which is going to allow us to pull that terminal up. I also suggest putting, microfiber towel in between the terminal and the actual battery. That way they don't happen to touch. And then in addition to that, I would probably put a microfiber towel or something of that nature here on the latch. That way no one closes the trunk and then you're kind of screwed. Additionally, I would recommend pulling the seats open just in case for some reason the trunk gets closed. You have the ability to still get into the car by having the rear seats folded. So I went ahead and disconnected the negative terminal of the battery right here, again 10 millimeter, and then go ahead and put a microfiber in between the terminal and the battery itself and try to keep the trunk open. Moving back up to the engine bay here, as you guys can see, I've got an aftermarket strut brace here, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this because the DME is under this little cover right here. So in order to get to that, I need to remove this. This is going to be a 13 mil bolt, one there, one there, and then same on the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the brace. Now that the strut brace is out of the way, all we need to do is kind of lift this up. It's just compression fitted, and there's a little tab here holding this hose in place, but you can see that there's 1, 2, 3 of these little prongs down here on the back side. They are just compression fitted right into place. So we can move that out of the way. And here, now we have access to our DME. And so this is a really important part right here. We need to make sure that when we're taking everything off, that we know exactly where everything is, because we have to put it all back in the same order. Otherwise, we're gonna have some serious issues. So what I'm gonna do is I'm either going to use some tape or a Sharpie marker, a silver marker, and I'm gonna put a dot on each one of these so I know the order. So we'll say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's also plugs on this side as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and number these accordingly, and I know where exactly everything should go. I would also recommend taking a photo of this just so you're aware of the order and how it should look, and you just want to make sure that you are being proactive and you know where everything's supposed to go, because again, if you plug this in incorrectly, you're gonna have a lot of issues. Just to show you guys what I'm doing here, I've got a little paint marker here, and I'm gonna put a little dot right there. So this is number 1, and I'm gonna go down the line here and number all of them. But in order to take these out, you'll see that we've got this little locking mechanism here, and so what we need to do is push this down, and then you can rock this over. You may need a screwdriver or something of that nature. So I'm gonna use a flathead here just to show you guys how this is on here. Push this down, and then you can rock this over, and it'll push the entire plug out, and now we can kind of move this out of the way. So you'll see that we have number 1 out. So same thing, I'm going to go ahead and mark each one of these. So this is gonna be number 2. So I'm just gonna do 2 little dots here. 1, 2. Same thing, flathead, push down right there, pull right out. And then you'll see also there's these on this side. So same thing, I'm gonna mark these as well, just so I know that this is number 1 in the sequence here. Okay, so just like that, you can see that we've got it on there, and the same thing, this one will just push in and up and out. So there you go. So everything's nicely marked, and we are staying organized. So this is what it should look like. You've got everything marked. I even went ahead and took these 2 off, and I marked these, so there's 2 of these. So marked it with 2 dots there and 1 dot there. So this is off. I don't really need to remove the rest of these. I think I can finagle this out of here, but basically the DME is only being held in by this little tab right here where my finger is. There's one right there and one right here. So you just kind of need to push those back a little bit, and it'll free the whole DME, and the whole DME will slide out. All right, so we're gonna have to kind of wiggle this out a little bit. Try to do both of these at the same time and pull up on it. All right, so you gotta give it a nice tug. And then it's just kind of a matter of weaving it out of these wires, which is kind of the tricky part. There we go. Ta-da, there it is. That's your DME.
All right, so here is the DME removed from the car. So as you guys can see, not super hard. It takes maybe 5-10 minutes to get it out of the car. But basically what we're gonna do, I've already paid for the bench unlock through Kies Motorsports. So I'm gonna go ahead and overnight delivery this over to them. And I am going to, they ask you to put your name or your VIN number, things like that, onto the actual DME itself. So that way when it shows up, they know whose it actually is. So I'm gonna go ahead and follow their protocol, get it shipped out, and then again, as soon as they get it, they can pretty much turn around the same day, depending on the time that it shows up. So hoping I can get it back in the next maybe 2 days or so, and then we can finish the tune. So that is the process, at least. So what is going to take me a couple days is going to be a couple seconds for you. I'll come back to you guys when I get the DME back. We'll put it back in the car, and we will finally flash tune the 340i. All right, guys, so fast forward a couple days. I finally got the DME back from Kies Motorsports, so their turnaround time was very fast. I was being a little bit cheap and decided to just ship it ground, so I had some days to spare. So it took about 2 days for me to get it to them, and then they literally unlocked the DME for me, did a bench unlock same day, and shipped it out, and did overnight delivery. So I have it back in hand now. I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall it. Basically just follow my instructions for the uninstall. Just make sure you have everything properly, in the right spot. Again, we did label everything, so we should know exactly where everything goes. Make sure it all clicks back into place, and we should be good to go.
The DME is back into place. Everything is nicely plugged in. Make sure that when you push these back in there, that this folds back up and locks into place. So it shouldn't come out. I would double check, make sure you've got everything locked in. Nothing is gonna wiggle out, and we should be good to go. So now I can go ahead and put that cover back on, put the strut brace back on, and now we can get back to tuning. Everything's finally buttoned up here under the hood. Now we can head back here to the battery, reconnect the battery, and everything should function and operate as it normally did before.
All right, so I did just go take it out for a spin just to make sure everything is working as it was previously, and which it should. And just want to make sure that all my, my plugs and everything were all completely back in the right spot and everything like that. So just quick run around the block. Everything sounds great. Everything works just as it should. Now we're finally able to start the tuning process and get this thing making more power.
Okay, so we've got our Ethernet cable connected to the phone, made sure that we are, we've got our lights off, we've got our seatbelt plugged in, we've got our radio off, and we've got, the climate stuff off, just to make sure we're not draining any battery or anything like that. So once you're connected, this is what it should look like. And then you can actually go to your maps. So down here on maps, we're gonna make sure that we still have the stock tune here. So we've got that. We've got all these other maps that we've already downloaded. So once we want to actually change something, so let's say we're going to do a stage 1, 91 octane here. I do have 93 here, but I'm just going to run the 91 here just for test purposes here. I'm going to go into this one. Down here on the bottom, you can see that we can flash. But if we wanted to change settings, burble settings, things like that, go up to this little wheel up here at the top. We can change our exhaust burble type. We can do OEM, we can do GTS, original, turn them off, and performance power kit, which is what we currently have, and custom. So let's do custom. We'll make the duration a little longer on 2 seconds on the regular mode. For doing sport mode, we're going to make it 3 seconds. So you've got durations here of 0 to 5. Aggression is a 5 out of 12 on regular. On sport, we're going to go, let's go 8 out of 12. We can obviously adjust all this stuff later. Maximum speed, we'll do it all the way up. Minimum RPM, maximum RPM, we'll have it do it the entire range with the burbles. And so that covers that. We can go back out. We can change GTS startup roar. Let's do on. So it's going to be a race start. So that'll be cool. So the RPMs will go briefly higher than factory just to produce a more aggressive startup. We can change cooling. If we had catalytic converter cold start, we can turn that on or off. I still have cats, so I'm just going to leave it on for now. Exhaust flap. We've got OEM, open, close, original. Let's do open in sport. Speed limiter, completely off. We don't want a limiter at all. We can change all these settings, which is a really cool thing to do here. We can do catalytic converter monitors if we happen to not have cats. We still do, obviously. You can do high flow fuel or high pressure fuel pumps, fuel injection, all kinds of stuff. Throttle sensitivity. You can turn this up to, let's do 20 on efficient. In comfort mode, we'll do 30. Sport mode, we'll do 50. So just play around with that. Let's see, max boost limiter, torque by gear. We can do all kinds of stuff. So now that we're good there, we can go back here. Now it's saved that all of the settings there in the stage 1. So now we need to do is, let's see, go back in here and then re-download. So it should only take a second there to download those new settings that we just changed. And you'll see at the top there, it says that it's ready to use. So now all we need to do is go to the tune here, go down to this bottom box right here on the bottom, go ahead and hit flash again. This says to make sure it's on a battery tender. This is gonna be pretty quick, so I'm not gonna worry about that, but turn your headlights off, your fans off, all kinds of stuff off. Make sure your seatbelt is plugged in like I mentioned. Go ahead and hit flash and we'll see how long this takes. So the car is going to make some noises. It's going to do some random different things here. Just don't touch anything during this process. It'll tell you on here the total write time for changing the map. For the first time, it will be a little bit longer because obviously we haven't done this before. But anything after that would be, you know, a minute or less probably. But it does give you the little gauge here of how long it will take. So we're just going to let it do its thing here and we'll come back to you in a second. All right, guys, so as you guys can see, we're nearing the end here. It's just over 2 minutes, about 2 minutes and 13 seconds to write that. It's just clearing any codes or anything like that. Still doing some funky things going on with the speedometer and stuff, but you'll see that that was a really quick time. Again, for the first time, you know, it does take a little bit longer. So if we change maps again later on, it should be a lot faster, but 2 minutes, 13 seconds is pretty good there. So see, it's bringing the other ECUs out of sleep mode, just kind of finalizing everything here. Last couple seconds, you can hear the car doing some things, some chimes. We should be good to go here in a minute. So successful. We are now at a stage 191 map with the settings, purple settings, and all the things that I went ahead and changed. So we should be good to go. And just hit done, and then you can go ahead and disconnect this and we should be good to go. All right, so now that we've got the tune, we did do the GTS startup roar, so I'm just gonna go ahead and turn the car on and make sure everything works okay. And here's what it kind of sounds like right after the tune. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole process for tuning your B58 or pretty much your any type of BMW that you've got via boot mode. So again, if you need to utilize, you know, Kies Motorsports or some other company for a bench unlock, I highly recommend using Kies. Obviously, they've been a supporter on the channel here for a long time, so I will have a link in the description below if you need to do that sort of thing. They have a whole, you know, ordering process online on their website if you need to do a bench unlock. And then they also obviously sell boot mode. And so huge thanks to them for sending all this stuff out for me and handling the whole, you know, process of bench unlocking, things like that. The car, I haven't driven it yet, but I just wanted to show you guys the whole tuning process and things like that. So I'll probably have a follow-up video, you know, of me playing with the burble settings and changing some things and doing, you know, a couple flybys and just giving you sound clips later on. But this video specifically is just for, you know, the tuning process. And yeah, so I'm gonna drive the car around for a little bit, make sure everything works okay, and see what the power output is now that we are at a stage 1. So I do have another supporting mod, which will allow us to go to a stage 2 or stage 2 plus, depending on what we're doing here. But right now the car's just got a little BMS intake, and otherwise it's stock. So I think just it'll be a little bump in power, but eventually I do have a catless downpipe that we're gonna be installing on the car, which will allow us to change the tune and run a stage 2 plus. So stay tuned for that. But if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything that we've done in today's video, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, we will see you guys on the next video. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Lots of content coming, not only for this car, but the Porsche 911 over there as well. So take care. We'll see you guys on the next video. See you then.